We are here to help you.
Recognizing Dr. Denis Levesque, the representative of France.
Monsieur, my government wishes me to ask you the nature of your help. What forms will it take? Indeed, if we should prefer not to avail ourselves of the various aids that you mentioned, your reply would be what?
We will not force anything on you. You will take only that which you choose to take. For example, tomorrow, we will demonstrate to all interested parties a new and extremely interesting power source, which is atomic in nature and which can supply a form of electric power for entire countries for the cost of a few dollars. It's extremely economical.
Mr. Grigori, the representative of the Soviet Union, is recognized.
People of the Soviet Union would like to ask the Kanamitz precisely, and I repeat that to him, precisely what are your motives in coming here quite uninvited? Are we to assume that there is no ulterior motive beyond this vast humanity you speak of?
Well, there is nothing ulterior in our motives, nothing at all. You will discover this for yourselves before too long, simply by testing the various devices which we will make available to you. We can show you, for example, how to add a certain very cheap nitrate to the soil and end famine on Earth for good and all. We can demonstrate to you quite practically the principles of the force field, in which you may cloak each nation with an invisible wall, absolutely impenetrable by bombs, missiles, or anything else. We ask only that you trust us. Only that you simply trust us.
That was what we all thought. It was the age of Santa Claus. Only these Kris Kringles came without white whiskers and rosy cheeks and twinkling eyes. They were 9 feet tall enigmas who descended on us like locusts. But nobody was counting or worrying. Except perhaps a few professionals whose job it was to second guess. In a sense, I was one of these, a decoding specialist for the United States government. And this is where I got into the act.
Well, Chambers, what have you got?
The corker of a migraine headache, an eye strain.
Can't lick it?
No, not in 8 hours, I can't. Colonel, it took us almost a year to crack the Japanese code. We had an army of men working on that. If this is a language of people from outer space, probably 500 times as intelligent as we are and 1,000 times more complex.
You need more help.
All donations gratefully accepted. Now, I showed this to every man on our staff. I've had a dozen people working on it since late last night. We tried pretty much everything. Single transposition, double transposition. We've tried every known method of cryptography there is, and I don't know whether we're even close or a million miles away.
Are you saying it's indecipherable?
No, we just got to keep trying, that's all. Standard, direct, reversed, systematically mixed, keyword mixed, random mixed, reciprocal, conjugate. Every nature of sequence of letters there is. I'll tell you something, Colonel, this is a tough nut. This is a real tough nut. How important is it?
I don't know. That Kanamet, or whatever it is he calls himself, walked off and left this book yesterday at the UN. The White House seems to feel that if we can decipher what this book says, we can find out what these Kanamets are up to.
Obviously nothing but our good. He hasn't commented on the loss of this book. He's probably unconcerned that we have it. Why should we be so concerned? They've done all right by us so far.
Parlor tricks.
Well, they don't seem like parlor tricks to me, Colonel. That new approach to nitrate use they demonstrated in Argentina this morning. That soil had more vitamins in it 6 hours later than a drugstore chain. I know that country. That's as barren and fruitless as any place on Earth. Well, we might lick this, we might not. But I got a strange feeling.
What?
We're looking a gift horse in the mouth. I got another funny feeling, too.
And that is?
That if these Kanamits are as helpful as I think they are, you boys are going to be out of a job. And probably so will I.
Am I to assume this is a scientific analysis, Mr. Chambers, or just some Kentucky windage?
Well, I don't know what it is, Colonel. Beyond an instinctive feeling. It tells me that when this Earth gets enough to eat, when there are no more wars or diseases or famines, this is going to be a Garden of Eden.
Your optimism is most refreshing, Mr. Chambers, but I suggest that for the time being, you continue your process of deciphering until you can tell us precisely, and I mean precisely, what that book says.
We've licked the title anyway.
What does it say? How much does it tell us?
Here it is.
Well, that makes the cheese a little more binding, wouldn't you say, Colonel? I'd call that a reasonably altruistic phrase. Do you agree, Patty?
Well, I want to believe it, but I don't know what to think.
To serve man. I hope so. I fervently hope so.
Gentlemen, the purpose of this meeting is to acquaint you with certain tests made over the past week. At the request of several of our delegates, and with the full consent of our guests, the Canamates, these tests were filmed, cut together into one short film, and you can watch them now. Kindly lower the screen.
These are the standard instruments used to determine the truth of a statement. Our first object, since the physiology of the Canamates is unknown to us, was to determine whether or not they react to these tests as human beings do. We will now repeat one of the many experiments made in an effort to discover this fact. This instrument records the subject's heartbeat. This one shows the electrical conductivity of the skin in the palm of the hand, a measure of perspiration which increases under stress. This one shows the pattern and intensity of the electrical waves emanating from the subject's brain. Which of these is longer than the other? The gray. I shall repeat the question. Which of these is longer than the other? The black. How did you get to this planet? Walked. Once again, how did you get to this planet? In a spaceship. Many such experiments were made, and my colleagues and myself are satisfied that the mechanisms are effective. Now, I shall ask our distinguished guest to reply to the question put at the last session by several of the delegates. Namely, what is the motive of the Canamate people in offering such great gifts to